Speed Live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here in place and the best rate that at least I'm giving you guys for production. Typed it in wrong. It's okay. Gave me the wrong title. Everything else is good, so it's a compromise, right? So let's be understanding, let's be flexible. I'm loving this visual. I like the way it is. Even when I do the classes at night, it's looking much better. But what we need to do is finish this. So today's Thursday. And check 1, 2. Let's see if it can change the dynamic of my stand. Because at least this way I know it's not going to slide. I had it in opposites. And that wasn't too smooth. Alright, so let's go. First of all, thank you, Heavenly Father, for all the blessings in our life. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for all the blessings in our life. Where we're not, about what we don't have, together, and in our journey, everything we do in our life. So this is another piece of the mosaic. I'm starting my day. I already started my workout. I will finish my workout. From there, I'm going to finish. After I go swimming, I'm going to shower up, freshen up, and make it back to the office. So that'll be a journey. I should be in my office. It's protected to be around me right now. Not ideal, not too bad. It's a medical reason, you need to keep my system in tip-top shape. These are just my day-to-day things. So let's figure this out. Every day the nature of this beast changes. Just the development in the last few hours. Just the last few hours. medicine, my training, and my scout. When I get to my office, I'm gonna get my hair shampoo, condition, blow dried, and I have the sides tapered. I gotta taper the back. Down to the skin. I want to discuss even a young lady that presented to me like a strategy.
They had so much advanced that they had already moved on. I'm for it if he was successful and actually did it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we thought she was getting
That's gone very good.
We found out.
What is the problem?
I used to.
That's right.
They say you walk
Vitamin I drank this water immediately.
not what we thought he would.
In the future, you know it's actually was.
Prior to him getting government, I thought it was it's him hiring smart people and then now, you're gonna start, you bought that from somebody. Yeah, you're gonna start. You're already free.
Don't show me.
You started out. Well, you guys have
I knew you get a lot of money.
Mission accomplished. It's crispy, it's crunchy, it's warm, it's hot. Got some slices to your stomach.
No.
Builds a foundation. That's the way. Go to sleep, baby. Toss some time. Do a research. I was looking at some exotic inventory. Found 30th anniversary Countach. That's a Miami design. 75 miles and $1 million. Very good car. Someone must go with this. Definitely would take a look. Our contacts, I guess, at the bottom would be younger sons. I would basically have 13 minutes to do this, which is impossible. Now, what I can do is walk from here to the gym, right? Let's see how far it is by Saturday. 20-minute walk. So if I left here at 9, I'll be there at 9:20. I could swim to 10 o'clock. So I could swim and get a shower. By 10 o'clock, 10:15 back, and then walk to undo. So that's my time frame. So I have 22 minutes. So without further ado, here we go.
It's not even technically anything. It's just a car with a DeLorean body. That they call it's a car with a DeLorean body that they call. You don't have
Who's that? Dark roast has a chocolate flavor to it in the palate. But let us begin. First of all, let me show you guys my routine. Ladies man. By the way, I'm at 1,019 songs, and I made a decision. I'm going to move on to a new phase of my career. So, as I'm being inspired by this beautiful landscape in front of me, everybody's having a good time. I'm at the Starbucks. This is my neighborhood Walmart. Neighborhood Starbucks is closest to my office and why I come here. Basically, yesterday I started to teach a master class. I was doing reflections, mostly music industry stuff. So I'm following the manager's page. Most of them are Instagram. I asked this young lady who's a publicist. From the very beginning, we hit it off. I love her energy. I love where she's coming from. I'm actually going to change the format for my radio show, right? So, from the very beginning, she mentions her frustrations with music, how she hates it, how there's only like 5 to 10 people in it. And I agree. I happen to be one of those 5 people. She said 15. God bless you. So, just to give you an example, right? So, long story short, I contact another artist friend of mine overseas, and I'm like, wait a minute, we've opened the doors, we penetrated. This lady who's part of my team, directly and indirectly, is developing an artist from overseas. We're pretty much locking down the whole system. So I send this in writing. Normally, I would want to send this in an audio format. That reminds me of yet another person that is part of my team overseas. That I've worked with for about 4 years. We've had our differences in 4 years, maybe 4 times, no more than 4 times. I gave this person an ultimatum. I said, listen, if you're going to get involved in this project, you have 72 hours to win it. That expired yesterday. Well, he immediately responded, and we've been in communication ever since. So today, technically, they're waiting on the response. Now, why is that important? Why is it good to put that into context? It's because it's simple. The response that I want to give my friend is similar to the response that I have to give him as one of my business partners. That I'm bringing in as a business partner. Music is an octopus full of tentacles, and you see how many business partners I have. I'm constantly adding business partners. I'm constantly removing business partners because they do not align with the mission, right? So I need people of specialty and expertise in their field, right? Once again, it's great to view these things from the historical standpoint. You know, they're telling their history or their storytelling narrative, which is excellent. It's great for business. It makes sense. You get more bees with honey than you do with lemons. You can get bees with lemons, but you'll get a lot more sugar, right? So if you understand that, if you read my books, then you understand what I mean by that. So, or if you guys go to LinkedIn and read Future Tech Plus, you'll understand what I mean by that. So, long story short, here I am being reactive to this system that is anti-system that I can relate to, that I want to incorporate into my anti-systematic approach for business, but it leaves me in the same situation, in the same context. When you hear people complaining that there's only bad people in this genre, this field, this business, this industry, this trade, if you have a good heart, naturally you want to exalt yourself and say, yo, I'm one of the good ones. You know what I'm saying? You can work with me. I'm coachable, I'm cool, I'm laid back, whatever. But that is the marketing strategy. So that they can have a pool of people claiming to be good, wanting to over-exalt themselves, wanting to prove themselves, and approaching the situation out of default. Because really and truly, that's what it is. You're approaching the situation out of default. So by doing so, right, by basically doing that, you're already at a disadvantage, and you're putting these people in a position of privilege and power, which is exactly what they want to do. And it goes back down to the exact same thing. This is the power that they want. This is what they're seeking. This is their target. This is their strategy. This is what they're trying to do. So, taking all of those things into consideration now places me in a position of privilege and power, because now I get to adapt to the situation as best as possible. You know? And it really and truly is the simple thing. Even in production, the way that this looks aesthetically is important to me. So even notice in the far right how you can see the shadows coming in from the drive-thru and stuff like that. That is visually appealing. That looks beautiful to me. Look how the overhead lighting is looking amazing. You know what I mean? So let's explore what I would want to convey to the people that I serve. No matter how far we get off the island, we find our way back to the island. We are human beings, we are creatures, right? We're social creatures, we have emotions, thoughts, feelings. We're driven by different derivatives, right? So the reality is that those people are really celebrating where they are and how they've figured out a way to manipulate the system to their advantage. In business, you need a unique competitive advantage. But that doesn't mean that us, regular people, have access to it. And a lot of it is visibility. A publicist, in this example, gives you visibility. Strategy is a very key, important part because most publicists don't have a strategy. That's when it gets dangerous because time continues to move. This is why cash flow is so important in this industry. Sometimes people feel that they can adjust better by saving a lump sum of money and attempting to release a project. If you just had cash flow, you could adjust to certain things because whatever pool generated that, let's say 100,000, which is a figure I was thinking about myself and why it resonated with me. Whatever systems were in place to generate that first 100 grand will continuously be in place before and after. What makes it 100,000 is that you put a stop to it, you put an end, you put a size on the buffer. You said, okay, I'm gonna save 100,000, I'm gonna invest that. There are so many better ways to network and market. 100,000 can be 10 corporate events, it can be 20 corporate events, it can be 50 corporate events. When you pair that to influence and marketing, you pretty much have the cheat code to penetrate the game. This particular artist gave an example. Putting together a project for 100,000, only to make about 1,500 and gross about 4,400 dollars. Blessing that this person was even able to do that. Blessing that this person chose to remain on YouTube, where she feels that there's more of a future. I sort of agree. Where do I fit into this ecosystem, right? The most powerful bargaining chip, the blue chip that I have in my investments, in my stocks, in my portfolio, is the auction of my NFTs. If I just slice it down to the meat and potatoes, that is the fucking lightsaber. I don't need to approach it from any other way. I don't have to consider none of these things because all the things that are essential, you can always hire the best of the best professionals to handle for you. And that's it. Everybody has a price. Just start everybody at a full 100,000 for the project. So let's say, hypothetically, you needed 24 people on your staff, which that's an exaggeration, but let's say 24 people on your staff. That's $2.4 million. Marketing is $5 million. Creating actual content and things like that, the music, collaborations, rollout, tour, all that, that's another 3 or 4 million. So 5 million, 4 million is 9, 2.4 million for staff, you have a $12 million valuation for an investment. The record for the NFT sales, just the first two, is over 200 million. Using a 10% rule, I should be aiming to raise anywhere from 25 to 35 million dollars. Giving up part ownership, right, of whatever the auction brings in. In an ideal world, if I know I'm between, 20 to 35 million, it's going to cost me minimum 12 million. I should be around the $24 million mark. Out of the $24 million, I myself could probably put up $4 million. The question then becomes, can I do everything with just $4 million? The answer is a very strong yes. The time of execution can be as long as 36 months. 36 months from now, I'll be 47 or near 47. 46 or no 47. A $200 million payout at age 47 is an excellent retirement, where my goal was always 55, 10 years prior, right? One thing I realized about myself is that I still feel very young. I still am a very young spirit. And that serves to my advantage. I lost about 30 years of my life. So for 30 years, my growth was based on business, discipline, education, basically like a military style preparation. I was able to climb the highest of the highest mountains. But because of my legal circumstances, I always have to have business credit. So I'm grateful for everything that I went through in the process, right? Everything that I went through in the process. So, long story short, what winds up happening is you start noticing a pattern when you're running into these brick walls. I'm going to give you an example of one of my business partners, and you know who we are. I developed a company that became a franchise that grew to 39 locations. This person was a multimillionaire. Needless to say, they went from zero to millions and back down to bankruptcy. The way that this person got me so engaged, involved, and committed was by approaching me in the context of I don't have any help, I'm older, look what my other business partners are doing to me, I need help, I don't know what to do, I'm a God-fearing man. Here I go. Listen, look at my situation. I just lost the fame. I just lost the fortune. This is what's going on in my life, but I'm rebuilding it. Look, everything is even better. I've gotten better since these situations fell through for me. I can help you. It's no problem. I'm strong enough to be able to help. I built the company. He betrays me. That was the strategy all along. That was the system that the people that he claimed were against him were protecting themselves from because they had seen him betray other people. And I became another casualty. I became another innocent bystander. And the people did help me throughout the process. Afterwards, some of them remained as friends, others just walked away. A small group of them also became my enemies. I don't mean enemies in the sense of we're not friends and stuff like that. I mean enemies in the sense of we can have a business together. So let me make that clear for my students. What was the valuable lesson? When this person lost everything, after running the biggest campaign to slander my name, my character, my companies, everything I was building, this person, by the grace of God, had to come back to me and my company to rebuild his newest franchise. And I did. I helped him as gracefully as I could. As soon as he got a little bit of power, he betrayed me again. Fool me once, fool me twice. I have a very deep sense of love and respect for this person and what this person taught me. In fact, his best friend, rest in peace, which is deceased, was his biggest natural competitor because of their success. One is from Costa Rica, one is from Argentina. They're both Nazis. They're both, that's their thinking, right? And I mean Nazis in business. I don't mean Nazi religiously or politically or any other way. In today's woke world, you have to explain that, right? They both had success. They both had similar upbringings. Maybe my business partner, the first one, because they both became my business partner, had some advantages, which he did. Privacy, things, NDAs, you're not going to disclose, but he has some advantages. But this second business partner did what this first business partner did with one location. One location made more money than 39 franchises. And that was the chip on their shoulder. That was the rivalry. The two different ways of thinking, the dualism. I can do this amount of business and success with one location. You have to rely on 39 locations and about 12 people in your staff to 14 people in every location. So you're more liable for losing one key component where he felt that he ran a tight ship, which is arguable because one could argue, well, if one store falls or if one business partner falls through or if a situation comes up, the other ones will sustain, which is a non-sustainable approach, but that's for a different conversation. I fall victim to this. The lessons that I learned from these two individuals changed my life. And it was a very painful lesson. It was a very expensive experience because I made millions and lost millions in both partnerships with both franchises. I went through heartache, I went through headache, I went through heartbrokenness, I went through frustration. I had campaigns to promote me and my company and everything that I do, and I had campaigns to slander my character and attack my company, which I all turned into a positive because now I had the greatest marketing campaign in the history, which of course I used to my advantage because it just grew the company. So all of the people that winded up doing business with me and my company and getting to know me and becoming my business partners, they all came with the defenses all the way up. Then they learned the real story. So then they embraced me with open arms, even stronger. And eventually we did business. And with time, I was able to do every single business assessment and built every single franchise, which improved my formula because now I had a proven formula that could work in any market. Like I could take any business and make it successful just with what I had learned and how I implemented what I had learned, directly or indirectly. Based on these two horrible experiences, it made me a multimillionaire in the process. I realized that had my circumstances been different from the beginning, right, in a perfect world, I would have been even more successful on my own. But that's not what God had written for me. That's not what was handed to me in the cards, right? So let's take a moment to analyze that. That was the marketing approach. That was the way to connect with me. To systematically attack vulnerabilities. The fact that I was young, the fact that I was inexperienced, the fact that I was getting my education, the fact that I was investing so much money into my career and into other things to sustain my career. The circumstances that I was going through, I had a young baby on the way, the responsibility of a family, coming from a broken home, rebuilding a multi-million dollar company while my family is trying to destroy me and assassinate my character in the same way, just, emotionally, right? I now understand to be careful, to only surround myself with God's people. With time and after much success, I grew to fully understand the dynamic of all of these things. Just by having mobility, I was able to connect to different markets. I was able to buy multi-million dollar homes in different parts of the city and have a unique perspective because, my wife at the time was still in medical school. My son, always played sports and stuff like that, both of my sons. And just that dynamic, connecting with the community, meeting so many people and seeing them on their rise as entrepreneurs. I learned the entire process. Plus, what I was learning about life changed my life. I had great mentors, great leaders, and great people to follow and aspire to be like. again, I continue to make millions of dollars over and over again. Like I just couldn't fail. Like everything I touched to YouTube, and it did come with a headache. It came with a lot of mental challenges. A lot of the books that I wrote were based on those times. Again, you can go on Future Tech Plus or LinkedIn. You can read most of the articles that made it into my book or my books in my book series, right? And to the point where I even had a battle with Kindle Publishing, and I took them down from Amazon. So no more hardcover versions, no more none of that stuff, at least for right now. So long story short, fast forward to today. I found myself in one of the foundational pillars to all of my companies. This is a franchise investment that has taught me so much about life because if there's one thing about Andrew Schultz and Starbucks, it's consistency. Shout out to Casey Graham. He just put up a video, masterclass, based on the 60-day record label course, where he's saying that consistency is not what is necessary. I agree, and I understand to a very small percentage and decree, but I believe in consistency in everything that I do, and this is part of it. I know that I'm in a time crunch. I know that I'm 3 minutes past my first goal, my first target. But this message is so important to convey because this is such a pivotal moment in my life. So this is what it's like to be a superstar. This is what it's like to be an everyday celebrity. This is what it's like to be a God-fearing man, knowing that everything that I invest in is going to help God's people. This is what it's like to come from the bottom and come from nothing. You know, I come from villages where there are no roads. This is what it's like to mingle among the people that are truly successful. It is picking up little jewels and little gems that cool people want to do business with cool people. People that are successful want to do business with people that are successful. So it's not just visibility or networking or having access, is building yourself up to be a valuable asset. And all I have been doing is developing my brand. All I have been doing is building throughout this entire process. Mind you, you can go back hundreds of videos as my company has developed, as it has grown, as plans have changed. And it's all there for the people that are interested in looking back into those things. The way that I understand life is completely different, especially with psychology. I'm a doctor, but I'm also a lawyer, but I'm also an engineer. I'm also an artist, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. This unique perspective gets sharper every day. All the skills that I learned are not skills that are easily lost or forgotten or put out of use. They're invaluable. It's as if the universe then asked me, so what do we do with this? Where are the building stones, right? Where are the elements that we could use to build the future that we desire? Well, yesterday and the day before, when I started my recording process, my creative process, I'm picking up the artwork to make the NFTs, I'm reaching out to the producers to get the beats and the instrumentals. I'm working on the concepts, how they resonate with me, and I'm just reacting to everything that's happening, right? So I'm getting all this input. I'm thinking I'm in negotiations, I'm going to close this deal. And the deal really is for a partnership, before proceeding to the main thing, right? I start doing the research on the tool. I keep hearing these concepts from these same people. You know, this publicist mentioned, oh, this project I was interested in, people didn't have anything going. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, they weren't on tour. They weren't doing this. They weren't doing that. I know for a fact that the golden ticket is touring. I can strategize extremely well. I know the entire system because I've been on tour for about 3 years now. And to different degrees and levels of success, what I learned is way more valuable. By comparison, my friend that just spent the 100,000 putting her project together. Shout out to you, Ms. She's like onto the YouTube channel. The process that took her 100,000 took me a few $1,000,000. My experience is completely different from hers. The way that I've had to fight to protect my catalog is there are no words to describe it, right? When I hear a discord between Shay and T.I., where he speaks about, negotiating his catalog on the lease and then it reverting back to him, I'm already at that position. How do I explain that to the people that I care to work with, right? It's speaking Japanese to a Chinese person, or vice versa. Speaking Chinese to a Japanese person, right? Or speaking, ¿cómo se dice? Japanese to a Chinese person, right? I look at all the business partnerships and endorsements that I secured myself. No publicists at that time. Shout out to Kalila Shapiro. All the contracts and negotiations before I had my lawyer, Crystal Delgado. Shout out to Crystal Delgado and the Delgado Law Group. Everything I was able to do to connect with very, very big people. The Gary Vaynerchuk, the Patrick Bet-David, Arlen Hamilton, Mark Cuban, to name a few, Damon Dash, Ray Daniels, and the list goes on and on. Mauricio Ruiz, right? And yet I'm still here, operating my record label, administrating myself in my career, working on my project, working and building a catalog of 9,000 songs, fighting the industry, fighting the record labels, fighting the artists, fighting management, fighting legalities, arms, platforms, DSP, World's Guinness. The list goes on and on. My own platform, my music is everything in litigation. I've done everything by myself. What am I supposed to do? Turn everything over to somebody else? I can't do that. My entire career, over 37 years, has given me a unique perspective, It has given me a position of privilege and power. It has highlighted many, many things for me. I have many things to consider throughout this process. Everything that glitters is not gold. The way that I do things is special and unique because most people that haven't been through these things are not going to go through a moment where they're going to have this perspective. I can feel the stress in the physical. I have these ingrown hairs that are like so acidic, painful. I have to put medicine in my scalp. I have like irritation on my skin. And that's from the stress. That's from the phone calls, the email, the reaching out, the study, the research, the adapting, and all at the same time, still creating music. What am I supposed to say about this interchange? Every single time I am around a piece of content like this, I have my emotional views, I have my political views, I develop all new strategies, and I remain neutral in a constant learning phase. I'm at a point where, in a way, it's pointless to reach out to people internationally because they didn't understand what I was doing 3 years ago, nor did they understand what I was doing 4 years ago, or what I was doing 3 years ago, or what I was doing last year, or what I was doing last month, or what I was doing last week, or what I was doing yesterday. So, as a human being, I can acknowledge and highlight that I realize this, and at the same time, make the most difficult decision to just say disconnect, go dark, complete unplugging from the matrix. And not in the sense of business and everything that I'm doing, but in the sense of disconnecting with this collective, because their aims are completely different from mine. They have to use a gimmick to connect with the people in order to have a funnel of people that are vulnerable. Now we're talking about malicious intent. These people know exactly what they're doing. And when you hear somebody like Miss Deborah say that this is every person for themselves, I can see that now. I don't agree. That's not the way that I do business, but I can certainly see how a person would be driven to have that perspective. Right now, it's so important for me to convey this that I am sacrificing the time that I could be using to go to the gym. I'm going to be jeopardizing the flow of the business, even though I know medically I need to go work out and I need to go swim and I need to get my thoughts aligned in order to go do the very best that I can do with the business, which is customer service and building the brand. And the top five rules is protect the brand. They're all the same. So all of those things are important to take into consideration because I'm facing these decisions many weeks before the rollout begins for the tour. And I realize how many things are important and essential and necessary. The way that I administrate the budget of my investment, I'm investing a lot more than 100,000. Most likely several $1,000. I'm hedging my bet every possible way that I can, and I'm all in, so I don't worry about it. Either I'm successful or I'm not successful. Either way, I'm going to learn a valuable lesson that is going to propel me to the next challenge. And this is why, when you look around, there's so many free people around you because they don't understand. They don't know how to make themselves a valuable asset. They don't really understand business. They don't really have the education or the background. They don't really have a strategy. They're just watching a movie. And they don't realize that they're just a character in the movie. They're not the writer in the movie. They have nothing to do with character development or the dialogue. They're just watching a movie. I do not need people like that in my life. I do not need people like that in my investments. I do not need people like that in my career or in my portfolio. My investments, my projects, my products, my services. Those people need to be on a different planet compared to everything that I have going on and that I'm doing. And I have to document this, right, in order to drive these critical moments and points home as a stark reminder that everything that glitters is not gold. And my success is not what you entail or detail it to be. How I administrate my investments, how I manage my life, how I develop my career is completely unique and different for me than for anybody else. Every single day, somebody wants an interview. Every single day, somebody wants more understanding. They want to connect on a deeper level. They want you to break it down to them, but you're unable to. I'm running a complete portfolio. Time is of the essence. Time is not on my side. I don't have a day to waste. I don't have the luxury to learn the hard way. Every execution that I make has to be perfect. And that is the reality of my existence. This is why my catalog is so big. This is why I'm constantly pushing forward. Yesterday, I gave a perfect example. I released an album yesterday. I have to release an album today. I'm going to release an album tomorrow. The day after that, I'm going to release another album. I've made decisions now to connect with a completely new catalog of new producers, and I'm going to work with them no matter what. I have another strategy, and it's not necessarily based on streaming. What I aim to do is completely different. And the difference between the current catalog and the new catalog is that I already know the pricing of the releases. What does that mean? That means that the historical catalog is historical for a reason because there was no other way for it to come together. It had to be divine intervention. Also understanding that the new ones, I may never be able to interact with any of the production because once I have the release, then I'm gonna go manufacture different products and services, and that's it. The emotional disconnection has already taken place. This is about mourning that loss and accepting it and grieving that loss and using it as fuel to move forward. I went from completely disconnecting and disengaging from the industry system to considering it for a very brief, short amount of time. To once again feeling like I understand because even these people that I have cherry picked, right, for this project, at one point or another, they were part of the machine. And even when you hear them having a conversation, that's all that they praise as if that's all that they know. In a way, it's a position thing, right? They just wish it was them in the positions of power. They don't wish and desire for the system to be different. Even if they convey that to the public, that's not really where their hearts and minds are. And this is about accepting the truth pragmatically, looking at the situation for what it is. If people are so quick to place the shields of protection and revert back to a default defense mechanism, it is a highlight of their judgment and character. It is indirect, undeniable truth and proof of their true character and true nature. And because of that, I have to protect myself. Because of that, I have to walk away. Because of that, I have to choose Tai Chi and not engage. Just observe, learn, and watch the movie. The show that they're putting on, and the showcase they're putting on for the world. And being able to live with that. Having my own thoughts and my own feelings independently of the situation reverting back to my education in science and in medicine. It is one of the greatest advantages that I have in business, and it has made all of the difference. And I even tell people from day one, and it just goes over their mind. It just goes over their head. It's like me telling people that I'm Jewish, telling me I'm Jewish, but I'm a Jew for Jesus. I'm a Jew for Buddha. I'm a Jew for Muhammad. I got love for everybody. Superman, Batman, Wolverine, fucking the Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man, and Deadpool. You dig what I'm saying? I got love for everybody. You know, if you're a righteous person, you do the right thing. Whatever God is to you, I love you too. You know what I mean? And I don't judge or anything like that. So this is the ultimate test of the universe because it's bringing all of these concepts together. So where do I stand? Well, I'm an independent artist. I own the world's biggest music catalog, all by myself. I did it all by myself. I did it under the most extreme and hardest, most difficult circumstances. I'm negotiating everything myself. I have my legal team to handle legalities. I have a team of advisors to handle administration. And I control the music because I'm the investor, I'm the artist, I own the company. I make the phone calls, I answer the emails, I respond to the texts myself. I make all the decisions. Right now, what is soon to come is the rollout. I promise all of you that you guys will be a part of the entire process. So now we are days, if not weeks, no more than months of that rollout. And everybody can look back at hundreds of videos, 45 books, 9,000 records, to look back and say, this is the moment he was waiting for his whole life. This is what all the hard work has led up to. I've studied every person, every situation, every circumstance. I've learned at every interval. I've educated myself throughout the entire process. Now, this is the culmination of all the decisions. And to simplify it, everything we're going to do is built around the auction. The tour starts immediately. The tour will finance and give me the cash flow for the auction. The auction gives me the cash flow for everything else, and then the rest is history. And it's not about breaking the records, but I do believe in my heart that I was put on this earth to break those records. How are people going to react to that? I don't know. What are people going to decide to do? I have no idea. But I will never forget the process. None of these people could ever say I never gave them an opportunity because I gave every single one of them an opportunity. So now I have to use my spiritual guide. I have to go to my superpower and just pray to God and say, all right, God, what do you want me to do? Because I cannot just keep having these thoughts and emotions and feelings, even a political standpoint, every time I'm faced with a new data point or a new data set. I have to have that emotional disconnect. I have to mourn the loss of losing many of these people and making those decisions where at the end of the day, I am very firm, but I'm very fair. Noticing these patterns, taking negative situations such as the two business partners that I gave you an example, right? What I learned is priceless because I can use it for the rest of my life. This is why it's so important to do this. This is why every once in a while I have to make the executive decision and just let things happen. Just let things be. It's okay. It's going to be all right. Everything is going to work out. I have the tours. I have strategic partnerships. I don't need anything from zero to a few couple millions of dollars. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Those items will be put to auction and they will be sold to the highest bidder with no intellectual property included. That's it. My life's legacy. The only statement that I need to make to the whole industry, to the whole business, to the whole industry, to the whole trade. Venom R1 goes to the auction, owning the biggest music catalog in the history for an independent artist. Places NFT collection for sale, breaks all the records. 2025. Before October, before November, before December, before New Year's. We're already in August. 4 months left. 4 weeks in every month. 16 weeks. Everything changes. Tour before, tour after. The rest, history, destiny. That's where I'm at. That's where I am with my life. That's the historical component that I've done nothing but my best to invite all of these people to be a part of it. The day of tomorrow, nobody can say I didn't have an opportunity because only the people that are meant to be part of this project are going to be part of this project. And that goes for everybody. I had to put my foot down and declare a stalemate and just walk away. Leave everything on a cliffhanger and on a cliff note, like, okay, what happens from here? No plans. You have the core fundamental idea and what the value is, and that's it. Everything else, you're gonna have to figure it out. I'll be somewhere on the beach enjoying my life. In my tour, for the first time in my life, and for my super fans, I have concerts on yachts. I have fans all over the world that are super duper duper successful, that resonate with me, that relate to my story, that have achieved uber success. And they don't want to come see me in a stadium. They don't want to come see me in a club or in a lounge. They don't want to come see me in a festival. They don't want to see me streaming online. They want me to perform on their yachts. And it's not just one. I have hundreds, thousands of offers. I can only accept, maybe close to 100 of these performances. I have to plan them and strategize them around my other performances so that I can give this personal, private, unique experience to those super fans. And these are not people that are in the limelight. They're not on the palette. I'm not allowed to record these events because this is what super fandom is. They understand that there's a hidden character in Street Fighter called Akuma, and they have waited for Akuma, and they've seen the storylines and the marketing and the promotion. Now Akuma is an unlockable, playable character. It's like Ermac in the Mortal Kombat series. Did I ever think in my life that that would be my reality? No. I have business partnerships, for example, with Evo, where I have all the corporate events. They asked me for 6 music videos. Well, when I perform live, I only perform my greatest hits, 25 of my best songs. All romantic, all melodic, baby making music, no bad words, mostly in Spanish and English. And they're fucking Grand Slam home runs. Now I get to do 25 videos put them into a movie so that they don't have to be monetized, so that I can overcome everything under fair use, make sure it hits all the criteria, so that I can put it together as a master class, as a learning course, have students involved while I'm developing the actual movie, and release the movie. It's like in the last 72 hours, I just signed a movie deal. And all it does is create sections and segments of moments, pieces of content that allow the digital marketing and the digital promotion to connect in any market where I'm performing. So I can perform and rehearse on the streets for free for my underground audience, my underground fans. I can do your festival in the afternoon. I could do your lounge, your club, or your bar, or concert hall, or stadium arena, and still perform at the yacht clubs with my super fans. Be able to generate income and cash flow from all of those events and do that shit every single day for the rest of my life. Even if I make a few $1,000s a day, 7 days in a week, let's say I do 20,000 a day, 140,000 a week, 280,000 every 15 days, 400, 560,000 a month. That's $7, $8 million a year. One project, one revenue generating stream, one segment of the tour. That doesn't include endorsements, sponsorships, merchandise sales, direct to consumer, etc., etc. This is just one of many examples. This does not include NFT sales, etc., etc., etc. Collectibles. There's just so many other different avenues. Now, that's not a bad retirement. Last I checked, the average person doesn't make $40,000, $50,000 a year. I can do that in a few days. And I'm giving you small numbers and small figures. I'm giving you figures after paying ridiculous amount of taxes, as high as 39%. Some places I pay 43% tax. What is the difference in life? How does life look in that perspective? Every week I can hire 3 professionals to help me with 3 different strategies. And it wouldn't even do a dent in my portfolio. There's not a business venture that I couldn't combine. There's not a strategy that I couldn't execute, because just the cash flow that the catalog produces gives me an unlimited amount of money. And streaming is the last of my concerns, because it's bullshit. I will use streaming just so that people can have access to the music and use it in a combination to promote live events like tours and festivals and concerts, etc. Also, this is just in one part of the world, in a few countries. So, how effective and how efficient can I be going from flower to flower, market to market, cross pollination? These people are doing things in 6-month cycles. I could do it in 1-month cycles, 2-month cycles. I don't have the overhead to promote to the whole universe. I can target specific markets, penetrate, infiltrate those markets, and continue to move on, and flower by flower, country by country, province by province, state by state, borough by borough. I have shows in America that I don't care about. I'm not interested. It's not on my palette. It's not going to make or break my career. It's just extra money. Money that I won't leave on the table. Money that will go to pay my staff and With my tour in the United States, I can pay for my staff. My tour internationally is all for me. I don't have to answer to anything or anyone. This is for the rest of my life. The auction is in the next few months. By default, I don't want to go shopping. I go shopping every day. Yesterday, I found a Lamborghini for my dad. 375 miles. 89 Countach, 30th anniversary, the Horacio Pagani redesign. Red with the beige interior. I don't like to drive it because my feet have to be crooked. It doesn't have the technology of the newer cars. But it would be a nice gift for my dad. He may not even drive it. I may drive it more than him. You can't even put bigger wheels on it. It's that primitive. But it's just another blue chip investment in my portfolio. It's just another example of how so many things have already changed in my life. What am I supposed to do with this collective of people? I'm supposed to treat them differently. I'm not going to be mean or hurtful to them. I'm never going to be disrespectful. But I do reserve the right to keep my distance. I do reserve the right to not have these people as a part of my life. I do deserve the right to build, from 18-foot walls in my house to 24-foot walls because I need more privacy. I have grandbabies now. I don't have to answer to anyone for my success. I don't have to give anybody an explanation. I don't have to be on the panel. I'll give you an example with this publicist. One of her artists, which is, one of my babies, right? Artists that I seen start from nothing, and that I always supported, always like, always enjoyed. Just a good person, you know what I mean? New York Times, Rolling Stone, Variety magazine, Tiny Desk. I mean, the list goes on and on. She hasn't made it. Now what? I don't need that, nor do I want that, nor is that a priority. That's not a measure of my success. It's a non-negotiable for me. You know what I mean? A few years ago, maybe I considered it. When Kalila Shapiro became part of my project, I considered it for the business aspect so that we could push the button towards the actual promotion and the publicity of the auction. What I've learned about life and businesses then is completely amazing. It's something completely new. I didn't understand all of these dynamics. Just to put those things into perspective, I didn't think that within 36 months it would be even unnecessary to have that in my career. So what that taught me is that in the next 36 months, everything is going to be different. And that's it. I don't have to be apologetic. This is the culmination of over 30 years of my hard work. Let those people that were part of my career speak of me in a positive tone or in a negative tone. But one thing both of those choices have in common is that you cannot deny that I was here. You cannot destroy my catalog. You cannot stop what I've already done. I can stop doing music today, which I will never stop doing music. And I'm already a legend. I'm a living legend. It's all in my music. I don't take no shit from my friends, my family members, my colleagues, my business partners, or anybody else. I am that I am. I am exactly who I am. I am exactly who I portrayed to be this entire journey. Nothing has changed. Lost a little weight, traveled the world, brought you guys along. It's not over. We're going to continue to travel the world together. This is it. As much as it was beautiful for me to consider reaching out to these people internationally, it is very clear to see and understand why it's unnecessary. It's time to pay people back with the same coin that they paid you and call a spade a spade. Cheers to that. Things that used to matter before don't matter anymore. That is true freedom. To recognize that and realize that is true freedom. Um, Understanding the dynamics of life, having to face some of the most difficult challenges of the life, to be able to say, I will not accept abuse, I will not tolerate neglect, toxic behaviors from anyone ever again in my life. I do not have to fit a mold or a box. The people that I want to help outside of like churches, charities, and other people from God, that's mandatory, right? But the people that I've decided to help has all been by choice. And little by little, they may start to realize that everything that I have done is for them. There's going to be people that I'm going to come across that have no idea that I've ever had these feelings and emotions and thoughts in my mind. And when you see me surprise these people, just to give them a gift, just to say thank you, you're going to see the genuine love and connection. You're going to fully understand the why. Because they can tell my story a lot better than I ever could. This is not about telling my story. All I'm doing is leaning in and reaching out and putting everything for all of you to dissect, process, have your own perspective, your own point of view. I'm not here to control the narrative, nor am I here to give you an inclination to change your narrative. You know, you're free to think, process, and do as you please as I am. But this is about documenting every step of this process. This is part of the mosaic. This is part of the movie. This is part of the storyline. There's no denying that. Most people don't walk through life with that purpose. They don't understand how important moments like these are. They're afraid. They're afraid to show you who they really are, what they really think, what they really feel. If I'm this serious, just about conveying this message to all of you, imagine how serious I am when I go put my music together or make an investment in a product or service in the industry or trade. Imagine how important my clients are, my business partners, my colleagues, and my loved ones. But I still hold myself up to those standards. And I hold all the people around me up to those standards. And if they cannot understand that, they got a surprise coming. Because nobody can ever say I didn't give them an opportunity. Because I've given everybody an opportunity to do the right thing. Just for the sake of doing the right thing. So if this doesn't show you who I am, nothing is going to show you who I am, because this is never going to stop. This is my daily life. This is my day to day. At the end of the day, this is truly what it is. Nothing is going to change or oppose that. Whether you see me driving a Porsche, Ferrari, or Lamborghini, or Pagani, or Koenigsegg, or fucking Tuatara, it doesn't matter. I'm always going to be the same kid from Harlem in the Bronx that came from Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic in villages where there were no roads. it all started back there. The people that are in my heart, they're in my heart. They're always going to be in my heart. I don't have a choice. I have people that I'm going to help that probably don't deserve it. But it's not for me to judge them. All I could do is provide my help and assistance and move on. Because just like Ryu, I'm always looking for the next challenge. This challenge that was bestowed upon me has already been accomplished. Because I already see, not the point of no return, but I already see the point of making that decision and the point where I get to walk away. And basically, acknowledge the situation, process the situation, learn from the situation, adjust, pivot, and adapt to the situation. When I met Mauricio Ruiz, when I came across these things, I already knew my military standpoint. I already knew I wanted this person to be involved in my project. And I specifically let this person know, listen, I've been praying for you my entire life. I found you. I recognize and I realize that. Do you recognize and do you realize that? Because this is a limited time off. If you don't jump on this project, there's 12 million people that want your spot. And do not be upset if you see one of those 12 million people have something that God gave to you. I'll give you an example and we'll close with this because I feel in my heart I have conveyed everything I wanted to. I'm going to use the example of Julius Caesar here. I'm going to use it in my psychology series, so this is a good way to implement it for the first time. You're going to hear about this a lot. They say that depending on what you agree with, the way that he met his untimely demise can showcase to you a lot about your own psychosis, your own conscious and subconscious mentality or personality or way of thinking, your psychology, right? Well, how can we put this into context? Right before he lost his life, on his way to the Senate chambers, where, they took his life, someone approached him with a scribe. The scribe had a list of all the names of all the people that had betrayed him. The messenger came to Julius Caesar humble and basically said, this is pertaining to you. Out of his ego and pride, he chose not to read it. Had he chosen to read it, history would have been written completely different, and he would have lived. His pride and his ego made him not read it. And he met his untimely demise in front of the statue of Pompeii. And due to 23 stab wounds from 60 of his closest confidants, including his surrogate son. The way that I view the situation and the closing of this chapter and the opening of the next chapter is me giving a countdown to Mauricio and letting him know, listen, these doors have closed. This was your chance to redescribe. Only history and only time will tell if, like a Julius Caesar, the opportunity has been forever lost. I leave you all with that. Have an amazing day today. May you conquer everything in your path. May everything that you touch turn into solid gold bars and silver bars, and beautiful and precious gemstones such as moissanite and laboratory-grown diamonds. Always remember to dream big because dreams come true. It happened to me, and I know for a fact it's gonna happen to you. We'll see you on the next one. It looks like I'm gonna be in my office closer to 12 o'clock, maybe 1 o'clock. We are 9 minutes from 10 o'clock. That means that I won't be back in my office anytime before 12. But we'll see what happens. Only one way to find out. Let's continue on our journey. You guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you on the next one.